NATO for me is a killing machine, which is driven by the finance and agenda of the United States, and it's designed to be evolved into a world army. It's NATO that's driving this hysteria with the United States, Britain and others about Russia. And to understand NATO is to understand that it's not there to protect the West from aggression. It's there to be aggressive. And to be aggressive while holding on to its moral high ground, it has to somehow find an excuse for its aggression. And I would include these incessant build-ups of NATO troops down the Baltic country borders with Russia as an aggression, and Russia are quite rightly saying that. For me, NATO is something to keep well out of, and so is the European Union, because if you go deep enough in the shadows of this, what I call the global web of global manipulation, then the force that's controlling NATO is the force that's controlling the EU. You know, when you've got an organization in America called the Project of the New American Century, that was peopled by Dick Cheney, Donald Rumsfeld, Paul Wolfowitz, and a stream of others who were in the Bush administration. And they produced a document in September 2000 listing a series of countries they want a regime change, which just happened to be Iraq, Iran, Libya, Syria, North Korea, China, and then through successive regimes of Bush and Obama and now Trump, that very list of countries is ticked off. I mean, these are not coincidences. This is a list being worked through, and of course they have to keep finding different public excuses, because then they'll try to hide as much as they can the fact that it is coordinated. Oh, no, Libya in and of itself, Iraq in and of itself, Syria in and of itself. It's not. It's a sequence of events that's been long planned. And in comes this man, Donald Trump, who's supposed to be, you know, an outsider draining the swamp, who's been swimming in the swamp all his life. And just as you had Iraq targeted by Bush, so you then went to Obama, apparently a different party, who targeted Libya and Syria. Now this other guy's come in, and he's now verbally and otherwise targeting Iran and North Korea. I mean, the pattern is so blatant. It's ridiculous. But we have to see the pattern. If we see it as individual events, we'll lose the plot. Well, I spoke in Croatia just before their referendum, where they decided to go into the EU. Not by a great margin, as I remember, but they did. And I said, I was interviewed on national television, and I said that there is an army on your borders waiting to invade, and it doesn't have tanks and it doesn't have weapons. It has briefcases and regulations. And as soon as you agree to go in to the European Union, those dark suits and the briefcases will be crossing your border. And I spoke there about 3 weeks ago, maybe 4 weeks ago, and that's exactly what people were saying, that, you know, we're being externally dictated to now. Well, it wasn't. It was obvious. And when you look at the EU and you're looking now at the gathering public resistance to it, you're looking at the disasters of a almost entirely asset-stripped Greece, purely because of the EU and the European Central Bank and so on. Then why would anyone want to hand power over their country to a group of bureaucrats that they can't even name? It's madness.